All right, we are live, man.
We're rolling, baby.
We are rolling as you do a big yawn.
Oh my, yeah, I was about to, man. I caught myself in the middle, man. It has been a long week.
I hear you, man. I hear you.
You know what I mean?
Yep,
Yeah.
it's been a long one, but we're finally
We
back
got
on.
we got some good stuff coming though.
Oh
So I'm
man,
super excited for it, man.
we
Regardless of the
are.
type of weeks, when we sit down and have these conversations and it's football season, are you
Oh
kidding
man,
me?
oh
Are you
man.
kidding me? You
It's
know what
like
I mean?
Christmas. It's like almost like Christmas morning, man. Where it's like it's almost here, man. We're
Yeah.
week one, man. Coming up in a couple days.
Dude, I mean, just thinking about, it felt like literally yesterday, like we were finishing up the last season, we were in playoffs, you know what I mean? We're
Yep.
traveling over to JMU, and look at us now. Who'd have thought? Not me. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Ah,
Gosh.
it's crazy. Well,
Yeah, I
big
mean, we've
news
been through a
for our.
whole winter condition. We were winter conditioning. We went through
Yep.
spring ball. We went through everything, man. And now we're back at it, baby. So let's go. I'm
Yes.
sorry, Adam. I interrupted you. What were you gonna
No,
say?
no problem, man. I kind of interrupted you too, but big news just to start off the podcast, man. Started off right. We have kind of joined the FCS Fans Nation Network on YouTube. They are a great bunch of podcasts that go over different teams, different conferences in the FCS. They are a YouTube channel, so you can actually watch us if you want to see these mugs on your phone or via computer. You can watch us there. Make sure you go there and FCS Fans Nation, you subscribe. You can also, that's not changing any of our audio. You can still get us at Apple and Spotify. Make sure you hit us up there. You rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on those platforms. But yeah, it's exciting. And
Yeah, man. I mean, what a cool opportunity. So, I think Adam had that relationship before I did, man. And so I think they approached they approached you, right?
yeah, yep,
Yeah, they approached you and then about this opportunity, and it kind of made sense for where we're at right now in the podcast, man. And the cool part about it is, there's so many different perspectives. That's the nice part about it,
yeah,
because those guys obviously we bicker back and forth on Twitter and who's what and this is this and that and those sort of things. But at the end of the day, man, it's like one big community. So if you guys are interested in kind of figuring out, watch whether you watch our stuff or some of the other podcasts, I mean, 100%, man. There's so it's great talent, man, and a lot of those guys are way far ahead of where we want to be, man. But it's something to look
yeah.
forward to, and that's the cool part about it, man. Surrounding yourself with people like that are passionate about the sport, that are passionate about the game. Yeah, I mean, it just brings a little bit of fire under us to want to be better for you guys. You know what I mean?
Exactly, exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And be patient with us. We're new at this, so if you guys have any things that you want to see, make sure that you get a hold of us on Twitter, Instagram at Fight on Montana. But yeah, we're gonna continue growing and continue doing this for the fans and for us couch potatoes, man.
There you go, man. There you go. Well, Adam,
So
you got some Grizz updates. Let's give the Grizz updates.
Griz updates. We have a lot of them, dude. Like seriously, um, soccer, man. Soccer is in their season. It's
Mm-hmm.
not like they just started. So they have played Creighton. They had a huge tournament come to Missoula with some huge teams. Creighton, they tied 0-0. That same
Mm-hmm.
weekend, they played Pitt and wound up losing to them 0-2. That next the following week, they played Wyoming to a 2-2 tie, which was crazy because if you watch that game, they were down 2-0 and came
Mm-hmm.
storming back to tie that game. Amazing. They are at Portland this week. Or actually, no, they're not at Portland. They actually lost. Sorry. They actually lost to Portland this last Monday, I believe. And
Mm-hmm.
so this weekend, September 2nd and September 4th, they are at home. They play MSU Billings on September 2nd, and they play Cal State Bakersfield on September 4th. Both home games, so go out and support Griz Soccer. And yeah, they've got a good team this year, man. I'm really excited to see what happens. And, we have a good relationship with the soccer team and what they're doing and the folks that are coaching. And I'm just really, really proud of them and can't wait to see what happens.
Yeah, like you said, man, just all around good people. And it's good play too, man. It's super exciting. I don't know if you guys ever get a chance to watch them out, but if you guys haven't, go check them out, man. I think you
Yeah.
guys would really thoroughly enjoy, the show that they put on. And it's always a good time. It's extremely competitive. So again, man, rooting for soccer.
Exactly. Same thing, man. Volleyball. They had a huge tournament this last weekend. They had some big teams come and play at home. I think it was some crazy amount of years that they've played at home starting out. So crazy number. But they swept North Dakota 3-0, and they swept UT Arlington 3-0. They were in the championship game against UC Davis, and they fell 3-1, 3 sets to 1. So, all those teams, and I think UC Davis is pretty good, and UND's, pretty average, but they're an up and coming team. I really think that, we had Coach Lawrence on. I really think that they're heading in the right direction. They have some big games coming up. They are at Drake September 2nd, at St. Francis, and at IUPUI. And they're in an Indy tournament in Indianapolis. So they've got September 2nd through the 3rd, those games. So definitely we can't probably watch them in Indianapolis. If you're in Indianapolis, go see. But you can also stream those on ESPN Plus if you would like to watch those as well.
And that's a cool part about it too. Like you said, I mean, we had Coach Allison, what was it, maybe 2 weeks ago at this point?
Yeah, Coach Lawrence was 2 weeks ago. Yep.
Yeah. So we had her on the podcast maybe 2 weeks ago, man. And just, I mean, her drive to make this the most successful year yet. I mean, it's awesome to see, man. I mean, that was one of the things that we asked her. So what are the expectations for this upcoming year? She said, hey, you know what? I don't care what we've done in the past. I don't care, what really is that expectation for Griz Nation. I just want this to be the best year that we've had yet, and it can come in many different ways, but I'm shooting for that. I'm striving for that. And I feel like we're finally in a place where we can do something like that. So again, shout out to volleyball, man. Shout out to them.
Men's and women's tennis, man, they are getting started here. Not this weekend, but the following weekend. They are in Boise State and at Idaho State, September 9th and 10th. And so we wish them the best.
We need to get a couple tennis people in here, man.
We do, man. We do.
I don't think we've had a tennis guest so far, huh?
No, we haven't had tennis, softball, cross country, golf. We haven't had any of those.
We're lacking, man. We need to pick up the pace here.
We do. So
we'll get them rolling. We'll get somebody rolling.
And then, my sport that I'm horrible at, but I love to play, golf is starting up here in the next probably 2 weeks. The Hobble Creek Classic, September 12th. They will be playing. I'm horrible at golf. I really am. But so
I know maybe 2 people in my life since I've been out here in Montana for the last 8.5 years that are genuinely pretty good at golf.
Yeah.
Everybody else says they're decent, they're okay, and we all suck. You know what I mean? And I always have my best games when nobody's around.
Oh yeah.
So 100%, man. I mean, I'm shooting 62 on a 65 easy when I'm by myself, man. Yeah. But then I start playing with somebody else and I'm hitting a 115 and there's no in between. You know what I mean?
Yep. Well, it's bad when, my family, I have an uncle that's a golf pro that's made it to the U.S. Open and all that stuff.
Has he really?
Oh,
Who's your uncle?
Tom Anderson. He's from Laurel. So shout out to my Uncle Tom. But yeah, he's amazing. My cousin. Damn,
that sucks. He never gave you any tips, huh?
Oh no, he did. Dude, this is the funny story. So I've had golf lessons since I was probably like 8, literally. So I know the sport. I just suck at golf, and I have a mad slice. And I tried to I was on the golf team, tried to have it taken care of, and my uncle's like, dude, I don't know what to do with
for you.
Really? You are just so out of whack from baseball. Because I played baseball too. So, I don't know. I don't know, man.
How discouraging is that when a professional golf player that's not only that he's your uncle too, and he's just like, man, you know what? Maybe this sport isn't for you.
Yeah. Yeah, I probably should have learned that when I was probably 8 years old and my cousin was golfing and I walked behind her and she hit me with a golf club right in the head. That probably should have been my wake-up call, but it wasn't. Yeah.
Jesus. No,
Yeah.
I picked up the only reason I picked it up because I was like, man, I'm so bored today. Like I have no idea what to do. And then I'm Esai, I mean, when he was clearing out his backyard, he had like literally like there in the 90s, like a pair, like just a bag of golf clubs. And so I'm over at his house just helping him clean out some stuff and kind of picking some of his garage too, because he was just like, dude, I don't want any of this stuff. Like, do you guys want it? And so I'm there and I'm like, oh, golf clubs, perfect. Now I have a reason to go golfing. But they were like 4 inches too short. So
Oh
I'm
no.
literally squatting down when I'm trying to swing, you know what I mean?
No.
And so, I mean, so because of that, I tried it. And I realized I was like, dude, I don't understand why anyone plays this sport. This sport sucks. And then I just kept at it. I just kept at it, got myself some clubs that actually fit a little bit better, you know. And then I started going out with some friends that also are shitty, but like to actually just go out for the recreation part of it, man. And so before you know
Basically
it,
drink.
yeah, dude, you know
Yeah,
what's super
that's what
fun?
it is.
Because I live next to Canyon Golf Course right here in town. So that's the golf course that I always go to, man. Have you ever ridden? There's they're like little motorcycles. I don't know what they're called.
No.
Yeah, yeah. So instead of actually renting out a whole car that you can have two people, if it's just a single golfer or whatever, you could
Yeah.
essentially rent out. It's like a little motorcycle. And then you
Really?
put your clubs or like, you know, right behind you or right in the middle of you. And you're literally riding like on a little it's super badass, bro.
That's
Especially out
awesome.
here in Canyon with all the views. I mean, can't be mad about it. Can't be mad about it.
Dang, I'll have to go
And
golfing, man.
oh man, 100%. But let me tell you, man, I've gotten worse over the years. I don't know how, but I've gotten worse over the years. But we'll be all right. We'll be all right.
There we go. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, go back at it, man. Last Griz update. Cross country, men and women, they are at it this weekend. I believe in Eastern Washington, the clash of the inland Northwest. So give a shout out to them. But that's the Griz update, man.
Yeah, that's beautiful, man. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
100%. Again, the cross country is not my thing, man. I hate to say it. I have so much respect for them. My brothers, I would say, are more of the cross country people. My brother's on the cross country team. I try to get into it, just never could, man. Just never for me. You know what I mean?
I love running. I know I might not look like it, but I was running up to 9 miles a night a couple of years ago, trying to train for like
Adam, you're lying. I don't believe that.
No,
You
I'm
ran
serious.
9 miles?
I was running 9 miles a night because I was trying to train for this 18-mile mountain run, and had a second kid, and then it went downhill, and then the pandemic hit, and then Dairy Queen is just way too close to my house. So
you got it. No, you started that. You got to finish it.
Oh yeah, I am back at it. I'm creeping back up. I'm about 3 miles every about five times a week. So back at it. So
there you go, man. There you go. As long as you're back at it, dude.
Exactly. Give a shout out to Gabe. He inspired me, man. So
yeah, good man, good man. Well,
yep.
Big news, man. So just kind of do a little bit of breakdown. We're gonna kind of take some time today, just really kind of loosely breaking down what we kind of saw in fall camp, the expectations of this upcoming season, and obviously, a preview to the game that is in a couple of days, man.
Dang.
We are super excited right off the bat, man. One thing that I was extremely happy with was just that we came out of fall camp relatively healthy. Yep. You know what I mean? Because you literally go from going pretty aggressive workouts to literally destroying your body. You know what I mean? So whether it be practice, whether it be through film study, I mean, you're at the university, for the butt crack of dawn all the way up until, depending on how long your coach wants to keep you. We have a team dinner at the end of the night. And after that, it's like, hey, go meet with your coaches. If they want you to stay, you stay to watch extra film.
Jeez.
And so, I mean, it is a brutal schedule for, the month and a half, however long we're in camp for. And so, I mean, being able to come out of that healthy, especially with how much injury we had last year, I mean, it's a super hopeful thing. Obviously, we have a long road ahead of us. There's no doubt about that. But the fact that we were able to kind of get out of it pretty free and clear, I mean, it's a good start.
Exactly. Well, and just like how hot it was, too. The last couple of weeks in Missoula, I believe, were very, very hot. The last one they were doing the fall camp. So
yeah, I mean, what is it supposed to be this weekend? Like 94 or 97 or something like that?
I heard like 98. So
really, I mean, the hottest thing that I remember.
Man, drink some water. Don't drink some beer. You gotta drink some water too, man.
I was gonna advise the opposite. That's why we like to have you here, Adam. Because I was gonna say, drink some beer. Make sure the mountains are blue. You know what I
There you
mean?
go. There you go.
What was I gonna say? No, man. I think reflecting back on it, the last time I was in I mean, I've been in a couple really, really warm games. You know, I think when we traveled to Indiana, I forgot who we ended up playing. I think it was Southeast. No, I forgot who it was. But we ended up playing Savannah State at home. I think that
Okay.
was the hottest home game that I had ever been a part of here. You know what I
Okay.
mean? Yeah.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So that was the hottest game. So it is supposed to be pretty warm. I don't know if it'll beat it, but I heard some people kind of start mentioning that I think it will be hotter this week
Oh man.
than it was that Savannah State game, and it was cooking, man. It was cooking.
Well, and I've got a question for you because when I played any sport, like we didn't have the rubber field, the rubber, whatever. Does that make it hotter
Yeah,
when you're on the
100%.
field?
100%.
Okay.
It has to be 10, 15 degrees hotter when it's actually on the field. It's
Really?
miserable. Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
gosh.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, so it was super hot, but man, I mean, it is what it is, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, at that point, you train. The only big difference is that you have a helmet on, which in some cases could be really
Helps
kind
it.
of a drastic for some people. But
Yeah.
I mean, the way that Coach Bobby kind of plays and trains and gets these guys ready, they'll be
Yeah.
ready. I mean, they've been doing it for a month and a half at this point. It's just another time. You know, it's another day, it's another practice, and ultimately, I felt that the practices were easy or were harder than the actual games because that's how hard he pushed us. And so regardless about it, I'm feeling pretty confident coming into this week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I feel really confident just with we'll get into it with the team coming in and some of
Hmm.
the things surrounding that team. I feel very confident. But yeah, it's crazy. The other thing that kind of stuck out to me with fall, there was kind of somewhat of a controversy, which I it doesn't usually happen with Bobby as head coach. The 37 number was given out by Jace, then was talked about at fall camp and was kind of said that, hey, that hasn't been decided yet. It still really hasn't. Bobby isn't really asking or answering the questions that have been out there. So we do not know who will be 337, and we know that the tradition is a player giving that number out.
Uh,
And I know that Jace has.
well, I
But there,
heard from a little birdie, and by birdie, I mean literally mean by Twitter. I forgot who it was. Somebody tweeted that the issue had been resolved, that Marcus is going to be wearing number 37 this week, and it's
oh,
basically a done deal.
okay.
And it was kind of funny because somebody responded like, "What are your sports? What are your sources?" And the person responded, "I know things." And I thought that was super hilarious. But to be honest, it's the most amount of information that I think everybody's got. At the end of the day, guys, I understand what the number means to the state, but
Yeah,
what's most important is winning games. Marquez is going to be fine regardless of the situation. I don't know what went
yeah,
on behind closed doors. Nobody else does. All we can say is I think they're gonna be okay regardless. And I
yeah,
think, who knows? It might have been, who knows? I can't even say. I don't even know.
yeah. And it kind of is kind of a weird kind of situation where it just kind of happened and wasn't kind of
Yeah,
not
yeah. Like
handled very well.
yeah, yeah, and then there's like people I hear people saying that it's like, Bobby was doing it simply because he wanted his son to get it or something like
Yeah,
that, and it's you kind of sit around and you kind of look at those things and you're like, oh, you think he'd really do something like that?
yeah,
You think he'd allow Jace to give Marcus the jersey, take it away, and then put it upon himself to give it to Robbie. I'm sure Robbie would be stoked to have it, but at the end of the day, I think Robbie knows that's not his number or his place to actually have that say. And
yeah.
again, I don't think Bobby don't think that way. At the
No,
end of
and
the
I
day,
actually don't think he can actually have it either.
no,
He wasn't. I don't believe he was born in Montana, and
yeah, I think it was more in California, and
yeah,
I think again, Robbie's super respectful of that. I think he
yeah,
knows. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
Bobby knows too. I think that it deserves to go to like a Marcus or like a Patrick. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yep.
I think he knows that. And so the fact that people were saying that, I'm like, that sounds silly. It
Yeah.
just doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. No, it
Again,
doesn't.
it's one opinion against the other. Who really knows what kind of went down? Well, all
Yeah.
I can say is from knowing Bobby, knowing Robbie, I promise you, they don't care about that stuff. It's really more about who gets it,
Yep.
in the right type of fashion to be able to represent the team. Because at that point, you got the number 37. Again, it's a legacy number.
Yep.
You're a leader on the team. You're
Yep.
you're I hate to say it, man, but you're above those freshmen. You're above those sophomores and those juniors. You know what I mean? You have a certain type of role that you need to play, and you need to be able to fulfill that role time and time again.
Well, and the one thing, I have a question for you, being a player, Angel. So, one of my things that I kind of think about is, okay, so something like that not handled. We have huge expectations this year. It's final four or championship, or that's bust, right? So could this, divide a locker room? Could this, end up, separating a locker room and deterring from those
No,
expectations?
no,
You don't think
100%,
so?
100%. I'm not. I would never think. Don't get me wrong. Again, it's an important number to the community. There's a lot that comes
Yeah.
with that number. There's again, a legacy. You know what I mean? But at the
Mhm.
end of the day, I mean, even look at that. I think I was watching when Sean interviewed Marcus about it. And he was just like, you know what? I was really excited to have that number.
Mhm.
It didn't seem like he was down in the dumps about it. It didn't seem like he was overly upset about it. And even I think he even stated he was just like, I'm just really kind of focused right now of being out here, adapting to this weather, being the best player that I can possibly be. Because that's what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, give me the ugliest number out there. What's the ugliest number that you know?
Yeah.
What's the ugliest number that you know?
I don't know.
That's crazy. I was kind of baiting you on
90,
that one.
like
I was baiting you
99,
on that one. Oh,
0.
there's no way. There's JJ Watt. You're gonna give the JJ Watt number the ugliest number?
Dude, I'm not thinking JJ Watt. I'm thinking just like the higher the number. I'm thinking basketball. Like, I don't know, like 0, double
No,
0. Do
no.
they
All I'm
even have
thinking.
a double 0?
I don't know. I think they do for some sports, but not for football. What
Not
was
for
I gonna say?
football.
It doesn't matter what number that you give Marcus. Doesn't matter what number you give an offensive line or a quarterback. If at the end of the day I said, hey, you are gonna get number, 68 as a
Yeah.
quarterback. That 68 is not going to define him. He's still going to be out there balling. You know what I mean? And it's the same thing with these guys. These guys are going to play their hearts out, whether they get 0, 99, 68. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? And so
Dude,
because of
I would
that,
love to see a quarterback wear 68. That would
you
be
know how
awesome.
legendary that'd be?
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome.
That'd be a Blue Mountain State move, man.
Oh my
That'd be a
gosh.
third string Blue Mountain State
Oh,
player.
oh man, that would
Have
be
you seen that
awesome.
show?
No.
Oh, don't watch it. It's terrible. No, it's so good. It's so stupid, bro. It's so good.
What is it
Uh,
called?
it's called Blue Mountain State. Some people that are listening are gonna be like, "Oh, god dang it," you know what I mean? And other half of people will be like, "No, maybe I'll watch it." And then after they watch it, they're gonna be like, "I lost like 6 brain cells watching this show." You know what I mean? Gosh.
Oh man.
So at the end of the day, guys, it doesn't matter. They're gonna play football. It's gonna be okay.
Yep. Nice. Counselor Angel there for you.
I just have to let it be known. Fight me if you disagree. Either way, we'll come to terms.
Exactly. So,
Mm-hmm.
Angel, biggest questions coming into the this season. We're gonna try to go by offense and defense. So let's go offense right now. One of the hugest things that I am thinking is the biggest off season or season thing that we need to cover is the offensive line. I
Mm-hmm.
think that we've had conversations in these episodes of you win and you lose by the front, right?
Yep.
And we lost a lot. We lost a lot of leadership. We lost a lot of playing experience.
Mm-hmm.
So hey, I'm just going to give you the people on the offensive line that we lost. Moses Mallory graduated. Dylan Cook doing his thing for the Bucks, man. Shout out to him. He just
Yeah,
got on the
shout out to
practice
him,
squad.
man. Practice squad. I talked to him a little bit last night, man, and it was literally the conversation of, hey, when the opportunity comes, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And so because of that, I'm super proud of him, man. I mean, I think it's a perfect role for him right now as far as just being able to kind of put his head down, develop a little bit, and then from there, because when you think about the Bucks, I mean, that's a veteran O line,
Oh
for
yeah.
the most part. You know what I mean? They got some ballers on there. They have some guys that have experienced a Super Bowl, know what it takes to win. And so because the fact that he's on the team, I think that's a huge deal. And a lot of people in many cases, it doesn't matter whether you be an FBS, FCS, they would struggle in that role simply because there's a certain demand, there's a certain expectation, and you're out in Florida, which is beautiful. I mean, but it's an adaptation a little bit.
Exactly. Going down the list, we lost Cordell Pillins, Conlon Beaver, Skylar Martin. Going into, some of the.
By the way, Skylar just got married. For everybody who doesn't know,
did he? Congratulations!
He just got married. He got married in La Center, Washington. There was
Nice.
about 2 people that passed out from the heat, but it was a beautiful wedding.
Are you serious?
Oh, it was hot.
Oh my god,
it was hot. Goodness,
oh.
I'm talking about. I mean, I think I checked. I mean, for whatever reason, you know how you can check the temperature inside your car or whatever.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it was showing 114 degrees simply because it was
gosh.
so hot. It was beaming in on everybody and everything. It was the middle of the woods where, direct sunlight right over you. Beautiful wedding, beautiful venue, beautiful couple. Don't get me wrong, but it was hot.
Oh my gosh,
goodness.
Dude.
Yeah.
Another one, Bo Kenny left the program. Trevor Wellnell and Noah Ambule left the program as well. So, that's a lot of guys.
Yeah.
That, either graduated or left the program. We did add some things.
Who we add? What offensive line guys did we add?
So Michael Ray, he is a preferred walk-on. I believe his dad played back in the 80s. He's a 6'3", 270. Ethan Barney, he's a 6'4", 280 freshman. And then we added Chris Walker. He was a transfer from Nebraska. He played mostly defensive line. I know that he played offensive line in high school. Dude, have you seen that guy?
Yeah, man. I think there was
brick house.
Dude,
oh my gosh.
Exactly. I'm more impressed by his beard, though. I'm gonna be honest with you.
You're more impressed with the beard.
I'm just kidding. Dude's built like a tank. Oh my god, dude's gonna murder me with the stare. Take it easy. You know what I mean?
Yep. 6'6", 290, dude. And
but he's built really well, which is a super, super good thing. It kind of reminds me back to, who was it, man? When I played, I was a young guy. I don't know. It'll come back to me a little bit later. But we had a guy that was kind of built that way. He kind of transitioned over from a couple of different positions, ended up playing up on our side. And dude was just, for whatever, he just didn't look like an offensive line. He had a slim waist. Arms are humongous, calves were humongous, legs were humongous. And so kind of the same situation. And then we also had another guy, I can't remember his name either. I'm drawing a blank. Maybe the CTE said it or something like that. You never know. That's a terrible thing to say too, by the way. I'm sorry.
Is really bad.
And so again, same thing. He had some experience of defensive line. He's a transfer from Maryland. He's a transfer from Maryland, and he kind of did the same thing. Okay. He played defensive line. He transferred over. But the reason why he transferred over is because they were trying to convert him to an offensive lineman over there in Maryland. And it was just like, no, I think I'm just going to go do something else. And he ended up coming over here, doing his thing, playing defensive line. But it's one of those things on the defensive line, I think they're naturally more athletic than an offensive lineman is, for most cases, not every case, but a lot of cases, I would like to believe. So because of that, you see some of that athleticism in that guy. But the beautiful part about it is it looks like he's coming into his own, and McGinnis being right next to him, I think is going to be a huge, huge thing. That's how it was when I came into first play. I relied on David heavily, and he'd put me in my place, let me know, hey, you're being a POS right now. You need to pick it up or be better. And then as soon as kind of he transitioned out and Colin came into that role, it was the same thing. It was like, I have a certain expectation for you. I need you to hit those marks with me. I need you to communicate with me. And I think, McGinnis is going to do a really good job of just being able to be that anchor for him until he starts to kind of pick it up and understand the game for himself. Not to say that he doesn't understand it, but if you're coming into a different program, first year, being a starter, and you're playing against some tough teams, it's going to be a little bit of a transition. So having a guy like that, I think is going to help him, especially since he's been through that same road when he transferred over from Washington State.
Yeah, definitely. I think he will be and especially, him playing left tackle, just with his ability to probably move and be lighter in the I think will be something that will be very beneficial. But, one of the things that I was thinking is, you know, we have a lot of young guys, a lot of guys that don't have much experience. You know, I think that one of the numbers was like 98 games we lost of experience or combined. We have a lot of younger guys that, you know, we don't know. We don't know how well they've developed, how well, you know, they're going to do. They're going to be thrown in pretty quick here, and they're going to have to grow pretty fast. The one thing that helps them is that these first 6 games, not to poo-poo anybody, you know, the hardest one will be that South Dakota team, but we'll be favored in all six of those games. So we will be able to kind of work through those things. And our defense will allow us to work through those things. But who's going to be the guy that fills in? You know, we had guys from last year that got hurt online, and we were able to kind of piece it together. You know,
that's a good point. Yeah,
it's going to happen. It's not a if it happens. It's going to happen. Someone's going to get hurt on the line. Who's going to step up? And
well, you never hope for that. You know what I mean? It's
no.
one of those things. It's like it's hard to simply because you know the reality of sports that you know injuries do occur. You know, which is why I was like, hey, you know, we made out of fall camp happen. God willing, we do the same thing with the season. That's what you expect. But again, I've mentioned this before. I think to really have a strong team, you not only need to have good ones, but you need to have very solid twos. And so because of that, it's a good role. Let's just say somebody does go down. Who are they going to bring up? Who's going to be the next man up? Because like you said, I think it was 98 starts or 70 starts. I don't know. It was a lot of starts. And I think with, you know, AJ and Hunter and then those 2 guys, I think we have a combined total of about 29, which is great. You know, you're not completely without any type of experience, but at the same time, those guys are going to need to step it up in order to communicate. I think they're leaders through and through. I think they're pretty disciplined. I think they have a knack for the game, and they're pretty damn good football players. It's just about making sure you line up those other guys in order to make sure we're all on the same page. And again, I think these first 2 games are going to really kind of determine, hey, and answer those questions. Everybody has questions about this and that and quarterback play, receivers, defense. Do we have any questions? Those sort of things. After the first game, you're really going to be able to answer all those things and really kind of clear it up for yourself.
Exactly. Well, and it's kind of hard, you know, going our defense is going to be lights out, you know, going against a defense like that. And you can attest to this in fall practice. You know, they basically know all your plays. They know what you're going to do. And playing a impressive defense like that, you're going to not really look very good a lot of the times. So, you know, is it, you know, take your battles in practice, continue to grow in practice. You know, when you get to games, this is a new game. You're going to feel better. You know, is it going to be that kind of a thing of development? It'll be really interesting to see.
And like you said, man, I think I don't necessarily think that it's a physical deficiency. When you really look at, you know, I mean, you look at those guys, they're big, they're beefy, they look like they're pretty strong too, and that they take care of themselves. They take this seriously simply because they know that it's their job. One thing that comes with that experience is that mental capacity of being able to understand what's going on in front of you. You know, I could put the strongest, you know, the fastest guy in front of me, but if I have a mental edge over you as far as being able to read the offense from a defensive perspective, I'm going to win 8 out of 10 times. You know, it's just how the game works. So that is my big question. What kind of mental capacity am I going to be able to see I guess what level are they going to be at this weekend? You know, again.
Well, and you said like the physicalness too, like, you know, they're probably a less in stature, less in weight, but that, you know, not always that's not always something that you really look at. Like you just said, that the mental side of it, you know, the leverage, your movement, your feet, you know, your hand placement, how quick your hands are, those all, you know, put a effect into how good you are.
Exactly, man. Exactly. And so that's what I'm most looking forward to. It's not necessary. And I said that it was a question. It was more of I'm eager to see where they're at. I'm interested to see what type of mental capability do we have, because ultimately, when you think about the line, if they're only limited to, they only do a couple of things as far as a full program, the spectrum of things, they're going to do a couple of things right. You know, Bobby's going to have to pivot and work off those strengths and stay away from some of those weaknesses. as opposed to if your mental capacity to say, if I understand schemes, run plays, pass plays, play actions, it doesn't matter, RPOs, regardless of the situation, they're going to be able to say, hey, you know what? We may be stronger than other things, but you understand the concepts and you're able to run the play. They're going to be
Mhm.
okay. And so
So
it's also gonna show, how the coaches decide to pivot, and that's the cool part about it. When you start looking at it from an analytical perspective, understanding the game as opposed to just appreciating the game, oh man, it changes the whole way that you look at it.
yeah, my question to you, going into this game, if you wanted to see growth in the offensive line, what would growth look like? What do you want to see from them?
Like I said, man, just big communication. It's not necessarily that I want to see it, but an expectation that I expect AJ to get them lined out because that's your role. You
Mhm.
get your guards lined out, and it trickles down all the way to the end. And then understanding, Walker being able to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to listen to McGinnis simply because he's done this for a year already. When he
Mhm.
makes a call, I'm going to respect that call. I got to honor that call. I can't go out and do my own thing and get out of kind of whack. A lot of times when guys are new to a program, regardless if the transfers, the technique the first game kind of notoriously kind of goes out of whack a little bit simply because they're getting adjusted to it. They've done it against the same people for months and months and months, but transitioning over to a team that you don't know their tendencies. Sometimes, and it's happened to me before too, you start to lose your technique. And so
Mhm.
I'm kind of really technique focused because Germer's a good coach. Germer's a good coach, and he hounds you and hounds you and hounds you on technique. That's
Mhm.
the basics of what he does, and that's probably the most that we do as an offensive unit, being able to practice that over and over until it's literally muscle memory. So that's
Yeah.
his biggest thing. If you don't have proper foundation and proper technique, everything else goes to crap. And
Mhm.
so that's my expectation. I think if they can stay, because I'm already calling a prediction. I know it's going to be a whooping. I
Oh
I
yeah. Oh yeah.
expect that, but really, just because it's a whooping doesn't always mean that you have a good game.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm expecting on the offensive line, staying true to this technique, staying true to who they are as a core unit, relying on each other, communicating on each other, and then the rest will play out itself the way it's meant to be.
Exactly. Exactly. One of the next positions, man, that is going to be interesting to look at is the QB position.
They
That
named it. They named the starters. You saw that?
they did. The
They
two deep came
solidified it.
out. So
Hmm.
Lucas Johnson is that starter QB1.
I think
And
that's the right call too.
I do too. I really do. Chris Brown is the backup. But it's hard to go against somebody that's transferred in that has that experience
Yeah.
in an FBS arena. And I've heard all great things on what he can do. He's able to pass. He's able to run it as well. He's a pretty big guy too, as well.
Yeah. Yeah. And I
So
think I think what also impresses me about it, just looking at his highlights and just kind of vaguely keeping up with fall camp as far as just being able to watch the practices, is he's pretty maneuverable too. I think in
exactly. Yep.
instances, I think he's going to have that awareness that a little bit more maybe a veteran quarterback is going to need, especially coming into this upcoming year with saying, hey, we got a couple of young guys on the line, a couple of really experienced guys, some guys that need to get under the ropes. Again, God forbid, something were bad to happen, but I think having that awareness, just having that extra knack, that
Yeah.
sixth sense or whatever you want to call it,
Yep.
I think is going to come to definitely advantage when it comes to watching him play. So, I mean, I'm excited for it, but it's the same thing, man. I mean, at the end of the day, all this is just talk. At the end of the day, we just got to go out there and they got to go get the job done. And we're going to see this weekend again. All the answers are going to be or the questions are going to be answered after this weekend.
Exactly. Well, and let's just give a breakdown. We lost Cam Humphrey to graduation. Robbie Patterson transfer or left the program. I think he's
Robbie
playing.
Patterson, he's playing like
He's like
professional
Europe.
or amateur, yeah, something
Yeah,
like that. Yeah.
something across the pond, I believe. And then additions were Caden Hewitt, freshman from Helena, and
Dude,
then
I think
eight.
Caden is going to be a dog. I'm calling it right
You think
now.
so?
I think he's going to be a dog, man. I'm just calling it right now.
Really?
Shout out to you, my man. I don't know what it is about you. Maybe I'm just keen on your play style, but I am excited to see you grow and get older and then see what you can do from there, man.
Nice, nice. And then
Hmm.
AJ Abbott, a transfer from Oregon. He's a pretty big
wasn't
guy,
it?
dude, too.
Yeah,
Holy
dude.
cow.
I mean, somebody was telling me that he was like a 5-star recruit coming out of high school, went over to Oregon on a full ride scholarship. Is this guy that I'm talking about? Yeah.
No, well, he was a pretty high, but I think he walked. I think he walked on. I want to say, so AJ Abbott went to the same high school that Andrew Luck went to. Broke a lot of Andrew Luck's records in high school. I thought he was a walk on or a preferred walk on, and was at redshirted for Oregon. Going into like some of the Oregon Twitter boards, a lot of people were kind of frustrated that he left because they were thinking maybe he would challenge for the starting spot. But that's what I saw on some of the chatter. You really can't really believe some of the chatter sometimes, but that's what I found. I may be totally wrong.
I guess you're right, man. I'm looking it up right now, and it looks like he was a walk-on. Who the hell's a 5-star transfer then? I could have
5-star transfer.
Maybe I'm going crazy, man. I could have sworn I literally just had the conversation maybe about a month ago.
Really?
That somebody had mentioned that we got like a 5-star transfer. He went to Oregon, and then decided the program wasn't a good fit, so he came over to Montana. Am I making this up? Maybe I dreamt this. I don't know.
I haven't heard of anybody. I know that it's not that guy, AJ.
I
don't
know, man. I'm going crazy. I apologize, man.
Some of my big questions. So my big questions, you can knock Cam on being, a situational quarterback, but he was a gamer and he was going to give you his all. And, he was a leader too. So who fills that void? That's one of my questions that I'm kind of going into it, looking at, how does, Chris Brown kind of develop and kind of react to being pulled at Jamie?
That's my question.
Like that was hard. In the psyche, sometimes you can get hit with that. Like how does he go from being the starter and then getting benched in the second half in a quarterfinal game? That's hard.
That's one thing that I really admire about Chris. I've never heard him complain about anything.
Yeah.
I think he has a good head on his shoulders as far as just being able to handle those type of situations. Because again, as everybody knows on this podcast, I mean, I'm a huge fan of Chris. I have nothing but good things to say about him as a person, as a man, and I really enjoy him as a football player. And there's still those expectations. I'm still, I'm hoping this, again, it just adds, fuel to the fire. That's all you really can. At the end of the day, because what is he? He's a redshirt sophomore or junior?
He's a sophomore.
So he still has,
young, dude. Oh my
God.
Yeah,
I mean, he has time, so at this point, I understand that it's frustrating to kind of see that. But at the end of the day, I think it's also an optimistic thing to say, hey, you know what? Okay, it gives me more to work for. Mm-hmm. Instead of saying, hey, I wasn't quite where I needed to be. It's not that. You're looking at the glass half empty. It's, hey, I have so much more that I need to actually strive for and work for. So I think it's one of those things. That would be the perspective that I try to take, simply because in the game of sports, you can never get too high. You can never get too low. You need to find that happy medium. And I've always felt that he's been that type of person. But if he was struggling with something like that, that would be my advice to him. Hey, you know what? It's optimistic that you got more years ahead of you. You have time. Go take it. Go work harder than you ever have. That's how you hear some of the greatest sports stories ever, with origins like that, being able to say, hey, you know what? I just wasn't quite there when I needed to be. I didn't quite make it, but because of that, it did something to me that it forced me to want to be better. So, I mean, I'm hopeful for him still, but again, the big question here is who's going to fill that void. And I'm really, I guess, just anxious to see what Lucas is able to do.
Yeah, and if you look at the QB room, you have Lucas, who's a graduated senior or whatever, or graduate senior, and then you have Chris Brown, who's a sophomore, and then the whole rest of the room is either a redshirt freshman or a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
So it's going to be a battle. It's going to be a development. I mean, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they're really kind of banking on Lucas really just kind of taking this and running with it, And again, I mean, that's what you hope for him, because there's obviously there's multiple ways that you can actually philosophize, just recruiting in general. And I think they're kind of taking a chance to say, okay, you know what? Chris has, had a couple games under experience. I mean, enough faith to be able to take the ship if he needs to, but I mean, it's really kind of all relying on Lucas staying healthy. So again, goes back to the offensive line unit. I think they understand the depth of what the position means, because at the end of the day, you miss a block, you can potentially hurt somebody.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? As opposed to receiver, if you don't catch a ball, next one.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and you just look at like you mentioned wide receivers, man. Like that's one of my next questions is just the, as in Lucas coming in as a new quarterback, the chemistry, the chemistry that you have to have. He came in pretty early and had spring ball and fall camp, so I think he's probably higher than if he would just came in fall camp. But the chemistry between all the running of the wide receivers.
Dude, I gotta say this, man. Lucas is a jokester, man. He's such a fool. I think because of that, I think the chemistry with those receivers is going to be top notch. I really truly feel that he has the personality that's a little bit contagious, that everybody likes to be around. From the stuff that I'm seeing on social media and those sort of things, from the stuff that I hear from other people just talking about him, he sounds like he's a really, really cool dude to be around. So because of that, I think he's, as far as the chemistry, there's no necessarily problem in my books as far as being able to worry about, is he going to be able to mesh with them? Is he going to be able to get kind of a rhythm, a routine? I think that rhythm or routine is going to be there simply because he knows, I think other people know that they can trust him. And now it's about just doing kind of the return in the favor, letting you know, hey, you guys can trust me too. Yeah, exactly.
Well, the next group, I think, is probably the best core, and this is just my thought. You tell me if I'm way off base. Probably one of the best core groups that could possibly ever be at the University of Montana.
The running backs.
That's right, man.
Oh my God, I've been thinking about this all day, man. Yeah, and obviously this is a stretch. I mean, a huge stress, man. I mean, but I was literally thinking about that one year when Alabama had like Derrick Henry. Najee Harris was like a freshman or something. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep.
I mean, they were stacked. That's how I feel about these guys. Any number of these guys can play. Any number.
Well, and I remember that team. Didn't they run not like a wing back, but didn't they run two running backs back there sometimes?
I think at certain points they did throughout the season, simply because it literally was a toss for, hey, one of these guys is going to get it. You have no idea who, and whoever it does, they're rushing for 20, 30 yards because we're big, we're physical, we're downhill. That is the one distinction. I do think that, a lot of our running backs have a little bit of a different personality. Which is a good part about it, simply because that means you're a little bit versatile when it comes to game planning. You can do a lot with different types of running backs.
Oh yeah.
Again, even though they're all working on Dustin Green, God bless his soul, I love that guy, to death. I mean, he was a guy that actually took the chance. I mean, kind of recruited me and those sort of things. So nothing good things to say about Justin. And he teaches to the T. He has one expectation, a certain way of doing it. Hey, one cut downhill. We're not going to be the zigzagger going back and forth. You find the hole, you make it fit, you make it work. Because that's the way that he played, Yep. And so I think because of that, a lot of these players, or running backs in particular, they really kind of gravitate towards that. But they do it with their own type of personality, their own type of style, their own type of finesse. And so, but man, I'm going to say this, man. I am super excited for Marcus to be back. I have to say that, man.
I was chatting his dad up last night when I was working on stuff, and he talks to us once in a while, and his dad is pumped about this season, and I can't imagine being his dad, but also being Marcus, being away from a sport that you love for basically 2 years.
Yeah, 100%.
On the field, just what that would be like, some of the things that he went through, and then just the, you can see if you guys watch any of the interviews or anything like that, he has such a big smile on his face that he's probably just so glad just to be like normal.
Yeah, I saw the interview with Sean, and he was just like, "Oh, what are you gonna do once you run out?" He was like, "I don't know, probably cry." I was like, "Yeah, man." What's cool about him too, man, is that he's one of the coolest people ever, man. Yeah. He has such his like little hippie vibe to him, man. So I always make fun of him for it, man. But he is a good person, a great dude. And it'd be kind of cool. So like, I remember during the winter times or something like that, I'd go to the gym, a little bit late hours, and he was still part of the football program, obviously. And I'd get to the gym, and then I'd see him in the back working out in the corner and stuff like that. And I'd go up to him and be like, "What are you doing here?"
Yeah.
He was like, "Just getting it lifting." And at this point, he looked 2 times bigger than when I saw him last, like when he was playing football. And I was just like, "Man, do you work out like this whole time?" He was just like, "Yeah. I mean, I'll work out in the morning. We'll go to meetings. We'll do practice, whatever we need to do. I'll go to rehab, and then in the nighttime, I'll come get an extra session." And I was
Jeez.
just thinking about it. I was just like, "Dude, you're a tank."
Oh my gosh.
I think at one point he was like, it might have been like an amateur. He won like an amateur boxing, championship. He's just a super athletic dude, freak of nature type of guy. One of those guys that you don't see very often as far as being part of a program. But the nice part about it is that he has the work ethic to kind of back it up. He has the
Yeah.
want, the will, the desire to. And I think it was super cool when I read the story that because obviously Justin Ford wore the number 21 last year.
Yep.
And he said that it was tough. He said it was tough to see that, but until Justin came up to him, he was like, "I'm wearing this for you. I hope you know that." I mean, how special is that? It speaks to Justin, obviously,
No,
but just, I
exactly.
mean, again, talking about that mental, I mean, that does wonders for somebody, letting you know that, hey, I'm playing for you right now. I hope you
Yeah.
know that. And so, again, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about Marcus, and I'm super excited for him to get back out there.
Well, and he gained, I think, like 20 pounds, man.
Yeah.
He gained up
But
like
not a
20
bad
pounds.
way, like
No,
solid.
solid. I've heard that he's increased his 40 time, where it's impressive. But let's go into what did we lose? We lost Drew Turner and Ryan Artenson. What did we add? Well, we added Eli Gilman, a huge prospect that if you guys want to listen to him, we had him on from DeSalle, Minnesota, which man, it's going to be hard to get some reps. So the two deep, I think it has Xavier as the top running back, and then Osmo as the backup. But then after that, number 3 and 4, whatever way you want to put them, you've got Isaiah Child and Marcus Knight. And then you've got Eli Gilman probably hopefully going to redshirt and kind of just learn this year.
Yeah, that's what you hope for, especially in a
Yeah.
role like that, simply because you're stacked with experience. I mean, again, Eli's going to be a beast regardless.
Yep.
He has some of those guys for a couple more years too. So I think the running back as a core is going to be pretty solid. I think being able to start Harris, I think it'll be good. I think he had a tremendous year last year. I think it's going to just play on top of that. The confidence levels up too, and I think that does a good thing if he's able to keep it rolling.
Well, what I
Osmo,
heard from practice too is that he had a really great fall as well. And so I heard that Nick also gained some weight, or I could be off base with this, so don't quote me on this. Either he gained weight or he lost weight. So hopefully he didn't gain weight, because man, he was big already. So
yeah, man. I mean, again, just very two different types of running backs,
yep.
but they mesh together so well, and especially with Nick getting hurt last year. I mean, I remember to go to practice and he come to me and be like, "Hey, man, I'm dealing with some problems. What do you think I should do?" And I'd give him, my tips and tricks about doing some stuff that may not be traditional. Like Chinese acupuncture, getting into, maybe a little bit more of a consistent chiropractor, those sort of things. And so, so I mean, again, I love that dude too, man. I mean, I think he's one of those players. Is like, you tell me to run through a brick wall, I'm gonna do it without a helmet, and then you're like, no, put on a helmet, and then he'll be like, okay. I was like, we don't need to do that. And so again, that's just, I mean, that just speaks to his commitment. So we're gonna see though. I think my kind of philosophy or my expectation is, keep Harris the one right now.
Yeah.
Keep Harris the one. Obviously, I mean, Osmo's right there. He'll be getting just as much reps, maybe a little bit fewer, but still, I think he'll be in the rotation pretty consistently, about switching in and out. And then just trinkle in Marcus here and there.
Yeah.
Again, going from 2 years of being removed from the game to full blown running every play might be a little bit much. And obviously, we're in the game of longevity. So just being able to take him out there, trinkle him in, getting used to the speed, the demeanor, those sort of things, maybe getting his toes wet. And then as the season progresses, maybe start taking a little bit more of an aggressive role. I mean, I think that's what I really would kind of love to see out of this coaching staff. But at the end of the day, I mean, they're in the battles, not me.
Exactly.
So I have no idea.
Well, and I totally think that, you could see the double running back, back there this year sometime, especially, and not to throw anything out there, but if the offensive line is having troubles, maybe they put another running back there to help, with the
like in pass
blocking.
protection, I can see that.
So,
Obviously, yeah. I mean, it kind of really depends. Again, there's so many ways, and that's the nice part about it is that looking from last year when we started getting stretched a little bit thin at the running back position because everybody was hurt and those sort of things.
Yep.
I mean, just being able to know that, hey, oh gosh, like we have some depth this year. I mean, that provides a little bit of comfort to the whole offense.
Oh yeah,
because
isn't it crazy that something that was low this last year has switched itself to be probably like the strongest.
Yeah, I would kind of argue this is the strongest preseason kind of lineup that we've had shoot in a long time.
Oh yeah,
in a very long time. Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I can't even remember. I guess. I mean, I know a lot of talented running backs. Obviously the Jordan Canadas. I mean, it goes all the way back.
Oh
but,
yeah.
But honestly, as far as just being able to have that depth of just really talented running backs, I think we might take the cake this year. So again, I think they're going to have fun with that. And you know how many times I've been saved from just messing up a block when a running back just comes out, on a little out route and they give them a little chip on the shoulder. I mean, it literally. I mean, half a second where the quarterback's able to get it off for a 30-yard run, multiple times. And so because of that, again, with the question of the offensive line as far as where's their mental capacity. I mean, having those guys back there with some pretty decent experience, I think it's going to prove to be nothing but a good thing.
Well, and some of those guys, gained weight, so they're able to probably take on a little bit more of a block as well. So that will probably benefit the whole group. But yeah, I am like this when this was happening, I was like, oh man, this group reminds me of probably one of the best running back groups that we've had at the University of Montana, if it transpires and what it could be, and
oh yeah, 100%.
So going
like
in,
who played with Chase Reynolds? Like who's his two? Do you remember?
I can't remember. I can't even remember. It was like wasn't it 2011 where we had Canada and Van?
Yeah, Van. You want to play off in the CFL? That guy was good too.
And then and then Calhoun, Justin Calhoun, wasn't it?
Yeah, like, Calhoun was really good. Wynn was really cool too.
I might be off on the years with those, but
no, a little bit. So 2011, because I remember when I came on my recruiting visit, it was Van's last year.
Okay.
And so right before that, and that was so that was coming into 2015. So 2014 was last year of Van's. I think the year before that we did have Canada. So I think you're kind of in the realm of where we were. After that, it was John Wynn. Yeah. And then obviously Calhoun too. Those sort of things, man. I mean, I miss Calhoun. I haven't talked to him in forever, man.
We get him on the podcast.
Gosh, dude. I think him and Justin are back out in Los Angeles. I think they're back in the LBC, man. But who knows? You guys are listening, man. I'm thinking about you guys. I hope you guys are doing well.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly, man. Well, our next one is I put that running backs on there just because we got Marcus Knight back, but our next one, man, kicker and punter,
Patrick.
Well, Patrick Rohrbach, a guy that we interviewed, man, that was such a fun interview. If you guys have not listened to that one, definitely go see it. That guy bleeds maroon, man.
Man. I mean, he was telling about his Griz room that his family grew up watching the games, like this and that. I mean, and he's such oh God. I feel like a broken record, man. I'm always saying that he's such a good guy. He's such a good guy.
No,
but I genuinely mean it. I mean,
Yeah.
the young guys, the older guys, I mean, surrounded by some solid individuals. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so I'm super excited for him. Because he is the one for this weekend, right?
Yeah, he's the punter.
And then who's number 2? Adam, right?
Adam, yep.
Bodkin?
Bodkin or something.
I think it's Bodkin. I actually know his mom. I met his mom through church. Cool. And then she also used to work at, one of the I met his mom through because when I used to go to the chiropractor, she used to be one of the receptionists that would kind of, check me in and stuff like that. And then after that, we kept relationships. So I knew her. I knew her daughter. And then she would tell me about her son. And he actually ended up working with
Lady Griz. Well, he was
Well,
working for the Lady Griz basketball team, wasn't he?
I think he was for a little
Yeah.
bit, but afterwards he actually took like a position working with a really popular YouTube person.
Oh,
His
really?
name's like what's his name? Destroying. I don't know. I forgot his
Huh.
name right now. Yeah, but he's a super popular punter that I think he went to UCF, and what ended up happening is that in college he ended up getting really, really popular on his YouTube channel to the point where the NCAA said, "Hey, you have two choices: you either commit yourself to football or quit your YouTube channel."
Really?
This was obviously before
Yeah.
yeah, and so basically before NIL deals and stuff like that. And so what he basically said was he was just like, well, man, you know what? I love the game of football, but I'm gonna chase his
Wow.
YouTube stuff. Like you guys, like it
Yeah.
was this big old national thing. His name is Destroying. Um, and so we ended up running with it. Now he has millions of subscribers.
Wow.
He'll host these big old camps for kids just to play against, collegiate athletes or professional athletes. It's a super fun YouTube channel. And so he
Hmm.
was actually invited out to Arizona to work with them for a little bit before he actually ended up getting the Griz job. So super, super cool. Kind of a little
That's cool.
backstory too, because obviously Destroying is a super talented kicker himself.
Yeah.
And there's debate that he should have been in the NFL, that he's, has all the tangibles to make it work, but who knows, man? I mean, it's not
Huh.
work. I mean, it's worked out for him. He probably makes millions working out of YouTube.
Oh, yeah, I bet. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we lost Brian Buschini. He went transferred to Nebraska. We did get Patrick Rohrbach, Adam Botkin, and then also Carver Gilman was a person that we lost, and then Kevin Macias. So, that was probably one of the positions that probably saved a lot of our games for us, just with the switch of the field position. And then, Kevin Macias was amazing down the stretch for us. That'll be interesting because I believe I don't really remember who is our kicker going off the I don't think it's Casper. I think it's somebody else. That is going to be the starting kicker for us. But punter is Patrick Rohrbach. But that who steps up, who steps up to that position, fills that void. Patrick has also those intangibles. If you've seen him kick, I've heard Brian Buschini say he, going into my freshman year at the University of Montana, Patrick was way ahead of me. What I've heard, what I've seen, that guy got the leg, man.
Got the boot.
Oh my gosh, dude.
Set it to the moon.
Exactly, man. So excited to see how he handles that pressure of being a freshman and being forced into that spotlight. But yeah, we wish him the luck, man.
Yeah, man, 100%. I'm super excited for it.
Yeah. Wide receivers, man. What we lost, we lost Sammy Akem and graduation, and Gabe Solser transferred to Texas, and then Danny Burton graduated as well. So probably should say Dr. Danny Burton, right?
Doctor, get it right. Get it right.
Exactly.
It was funny. I was on Twitter. I think it might have been today or yesterday or something like that. And Sammy posted on Twitter. He was just like, "Hey, everybody, where are the good places to tailgate? I'm a rookie at this." And I was like, I was laughing about it. I was just like, oh my gosh, because I remember thinking the same thing. I was just like, so what do? I just how early do I show up to the games? Where do I sit?
Just walk, man. Just
Do
walk.
I just walk the whole time? Do I meet up with somebody? Like, how does this work? You know what I mean? And so the fact that he said that, it's one of those things, I think all the athletes are kind of thinking it, but it's just like you never really asking, because you never think to ask, like,
Oh yeah,
hey, where do I tailgate? You know what I mean?
yeah.
And so, I mean, 100%. So, yeah, we lost a couple guys, but I think, again, really experienced, talented group. Obviously, Mitch Roberts, I think he's going to take really the helm. He got invited to Media Day, and so I think they have a big expectation of his role this upcoming year. Mr. Reliable, be able to make those catches in clutch situations under the pressure. I think that's where it's kind of a sweet spot. I mean, I think his brother Ben was exactly the same way. High
Exactly.
stakes games,
Yep.
kind of on the line, fourth down plays. We need 12 yards to get the first down. I mean, you would always look for Ben, and so I feel like he's taken on that role and that persona too. Malik Flowers, I'm
Oh
interested to
man.
see what type of role that he plays this year.
Yep.
Obviously special teams, I mean, he's absolutely
Guru.
destroying it,
Yep.
and if you look at him, if you look at a lot of those guys, man, I mean, they beefed up as far as size wise goes.
They
I mean,
did.
I saw Malik sometime this summer because he was out just on a casual day playing some baseball or something like that, throwing in the hot summer sun. And I was just like, man, he looked big, man. And he was just like, all the food, man. I mean, the way that we work out, the way that we train, yada yada. And so, I mean, I'm anxious to see what they do with him. I
Yeah.
don't know what his role is going to be, whether it be in situational, whether it be consistently. He's just right off the bat the guy. Um, but I'm excited to see. I'm interested. I'm anxious. I think it's just obviously it is his time. There's no
Yeah.
other time. This is it to kind of make it work. And obviously he has an opportunity to play at the next level. And I think if he has a really solid year, I mean, who knows what could happen when it comes to, being able to get drafted and maybe get picked up by a team.
Well, yeah, and him just, one away from the I believe the Big Sky record for returns, and then 2 away from the all-time FCS record
Mm-hmm.
is pretty amazing. But additions, I guess we can say that it's an addition, but Junior Bergen goes from running back to wide receiver.
Yeah.
Camden versus Strait, transfer from Washington. Ian Finch, a freshman out of Hellgate High School. Sawyer Reccanelli.
Ian's cool too, man.
What's that?
Ian's hella cool too. I
He
like
is
that
too.
guy. Yeah.
He is. He's a cool guy. Sawyer Reccanelli is a transfer from Washington. I heard that he hurt his knee, so I don't know where that is with him. But I don't know if he's going to be recouping or if he's going to be able to play this year. But he's also an addition. Sam Alford from Park City High School. I've heard that he's going to be a really one to watch in the future, which could be really exciting. But man, I have seen Aaron Fonts, man, just develop. He doesn't. He's like deceiving. He reminds me, and I know this is going to be like, wow, that's a huge throw out. But he reminds me of Randy Moss, like how slender he was when Randy Moss first started. Like his legs were little, and like that reminds me of Aaron Fonts of how like his body type. He's super fast, super agile, but his legs, he's able to get his legs under him so quickly where he can switch where he's going. Where he's not the biggest guy, but man, he's so quick, so agile. And that's somebody that could be making those bigger games and see just to watch for, man.
Yeah, man, it's a big year. You know what? I think he's done a really good job about just kind of blending into the team as far as being, a likable guy, somebody that they can trust. It sounds like he's had a great offseason. I think I saw him make a couple huge plays during the actual spring, like the spring games and stuff like that. And so I think he might be, if I'm being honest, he might be my sleeper for the year.
Yeah.
Somebody that they may not expect a whole lot out of him, but I think he's going to go and take it by the horns. Who's also kind of looking for it? And I hate to say this, man, and it's a good thing on Ryan's part, but Ryan Simpson.
Oh, yeah.
I think
6'6".
Yeah, dude. I think being able to play to that height, to that advantage, especially if we can get up there. I've seen the movie White Man Can't Jump.
Oh, of course.
100%. This is going to be a test. This is going to be a test to him this year. Because I think they're going to rely on those kind of lob passes, getting high in the air, getting up there, and winning those 50-50 balls. And so that's what I'm thinking.
So that's so awesome because I was talking to one of my friends. Dude, imagine this. You put Ryan Simpson on one side, Nick Williams on the other. So you've got 6'6" and 6'5".
Uh-huh.
And then you have Grossman and Grossman and Barker in the middle on the line.
Uh-huh. Big dudes.
Dude, you got 2 wide receivers that can just go up and get the ball.
Yeah.
I know Nick Williams is probably, he's a redshirt freshman, I believe. Not too much, but man,
but just size-wise, yeah.
Like, how many teams can say, hey, we have 2 guys that are over 6'5" as a wide receiver? That's hard to find. I would think.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, again, that's what's going to be fun, being able to kind of scheme a little bit on the offensive side of things, because we got the running backs to make it work.
Yep.
It sounds like it's not a physical limitation when it comes to the offensive line. So it sounds like we can do a lot of fun stuff, whether it be, sweeps, whether it be outside zones, whether it be, again, play action passes, RPO. It doesn't matter. I think they're going to be able to really kind of have some fun with the whole offense in general, because we have different sizes, all athletic ability, mentally tough, those sort of things. So it's going to be a fun, here offensive wise. And I think this is the year where we really need to pick it up on the offensive side. I think we've had really good performances on the defensive side past couple of years. I think it's our turn for the offense to really kind of take it by the horns and elevate to the next level, to say, hey, you know what? We're just as good. We're just as good. Everybody always talks about the defense. It's time to start talking about what the offense is doing.
Well, and Coach P has said, this is probably, and he mentioned it on one of the podcasts, I think with Riley, one of the greatest wide receiver cores that he's ever coached.
Mm-hmm.
And he's coached, Florida and places where are some pretty big schools. And one guy that we're not mentioned is Keelan White.
Hell yeah, dude! How can I forget about him? That dude is ridiculous.
Exactly,
ridiculous.
So, you get Keelan White in there. You add Junior Bergen. Those are some huge names. Like the running back situation, wide receiver. You're going to be playing to get some reps, and I don't know if all these guys are going to get reps, man.
Mm-hmm. Which is, it's a game of chess, man.
Yep.
It really, really is. And I think that's where they're going to kind of be able to get to the next level. And obviously it's super good to hear that the coaches feel that way about their position group, saying, hey, you know what, this is probably the best, because that is a big honor to any coach to be able to say that's so veteran and seasoned and it's been around the country, being able to experience, literally thousands and thousands of players, able to say, hey, this might be single-handedly the best one I've been able to be around. And you're like, wow, that's a cool thing to hear. But with that, there's a lot of expectation, and we're going to see if they're going to be able to handle the heat.
Exactly. Going into the next tight ends, man.
Cool, baby.
We didn't have too many losses. Matt Simpkins is not on the roster that I could find. But we did add Joe. I'm going to pronounce it wrong. Wida.
I think it's Wida.
Wida. Gosh dang it, dude! I'm working hard.
I could be wrong, man. I could be wrong, but I think it's Wida.
Okay, so still have Grossman, and Rensvold, and Elwell, and we have Barker on as the tight end. One guy that this is kind of like bad to say, but one guy that flashes in my head, and I've heard some great things, but Barker, right?
Mm-hmm.
I saw him in the JMU game on special teams, and this is bad to say. He got a flagged for an unsportsmanlike. Dude, when I saw that, and he was and he was big and stuff, I was like, dude, he's got the mentality, man. He's ready.
You think so? You think so?
It just I don't know why, but I was like, oh man, he's gonna be somebody to look out for next year, man.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, you never know, man. Again, I just don't know enough about him to be able to say anything besides, obviously, like you had mentioned, your story right here with the special teams. And I think I do remember that penalty last year. I think I do. I think, was he the kid that got in trouble because he was smiling afterwards or something like that? That's him?
He was on the sideline just smiling. I was
he's cheesing,
that's
Jesus,
a bad guy there, man.
Oh, yeah. You never really know with those guys, man. They can go either way. Again, just a lot of different personalities. I think Cole's going to have even better year. And that's what's cool about that position specifically, is that they're the same core group that was essentially here last year.
Oh yeah.
I do hope that that Rental's kind of able to kind of get out a little bit, man. I mean, he's had such a rough going just with his knees and stuff like that, just torn ACL after torn ACL, and so. But he's somebody that I think's a baller too, man. I would love to be able to see him out through a whole season and be able to kind of end it off on the right foot, because I think he might be a junior.
Believe so, yeah.
I think he's a junior, so I think he has one more year after this. So these next 2 years, just make him count, being able to get down the field, because I know I mean, those times that Dick talked to me, he's just like, it's tough, and I'm hanging in there,
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was like, you're a good guy, because he really is truly a good guy.
Yeah. Well, and
Hmm.
coming back from, I know he's had a lot of injuries, and coming back, I think he's either trying to get back or he's going to be a little bit after. I don't know for sure, but I had heard some things. But um, that's a stacked tight end group as well, with a lot of younger guys behind them that are big guys as
Yeah,
well.
plenty
So
talented too.
exactly. So let's go from the offense to the defense, man. Break down some of the things that we wanted to kind of look for, but let's go to the safety side, man, because one of the things that I saw was, who are we going to? My biggest thing, I think Gavin Robertson by the most. He was one of the players that did some things that people really didn't see. I know when he had his sickness or his illness that he was going through, I really think that part of the field kind of dropped off. And when he returned, he played hard, and I think that he was a big piece. Who steps up and takes that role, I think will be a really big kind of thing to watch out for.
Big shoes to fill, like you said.
Yeah,
Like I think you said it just perfectly. I think a lot of people to the naked eye didn't really understand Gavin's role in the game
yeah,
of football. I think those guys on the team understood it. I think it's
hmm
pretty clear. I think it's pretty obviously. But in the grand scheme of things, it's hard from a fan perspective to be able to really see that and appreciate that. And I
yeah,
think he was that glue that kind of brought everybody together.
yep,
And so it's going to be interesting to see how that position kind of adapts to this upcoming year without Gavin.
yep,
There's some things that just that leadership, that experience, that energy, that injury, that you just can't really get from everybody. It takes a special type of player, which is why I always viewed him as a special type of man, you know. And so we'd have conversations about this, man. And I remember, I mean, when I was in my last year, they called me grandpa, and then when he was in his last year, he was just like, I feel like a grandpa now. You know what I mean? I know what you were dealing with as far as just being able to be in pain all the time, but I mean, again, those are the type of guys that I think you remember for the rest of your life,
yeah,
you know, and you're just being able to look at him and be like, you know what, I knew nobody else knew. Maybe not a whole lot of people knew, but I knew as a player the type of role, the type of influence that you had on everybody else. I mean, I can't thank you enough. You
yeah.
know,
Well, and
that's how that's how I feel about G Baby, man. I mean, yeah.
we have so many guys that have had experience behind him with Trajan Cotton, Nash Fouch, and Garrett Graves, and even David Kopang. So we're not like lacking in
Oh,
experience,
we're
but
not. Yeah, yeah.
just the taking that over with a guy that I have really the utmost respect for, with how he handled himself and how he played, is truly going to be interesting to watch and see how that develops.
Yeah, so like I said, just a special guy, and you said it exactly right. I mean, it's no testament to saying that they're a weak unit. It's
Yeah,
just going to
yeah,
be interesting to see who fills that void, or if they
yep,
even need that.
yep,
Sometimes those positions they don't need that type of guy, but it's always welcome. It's always nice to have, and it's
yeah,
one of those things that you always appreciate as a player. And so it's going to be interesting. Like you said, we have plenty of experience back there.
yep.
I think Graves is going to have a big year. Con's going to have another big year too. So I mean, I'm really, really, but I don't know. I can't really tell you right off the bat who's going to take
Yeah.
it and run with it and really kind of stand out.
One,
You
it's
know.
going to be interesting to see, with Robbie, this being, I believe, his last year. I don't think he has another year with the COVID year. I don't think. I could be wrong. But, who develops after him? Are they developing someone, are they developing Jackson Lee to be that next guy to take over for Robbie? Because he's going to be the leading tackler in University of Montana history, probably by the end of this year. With, I think he's only got like 100 something tackles that he needs. So if he just does his average that he's been doing, he'll be the all-time tackler of University of Montana. But
I mean, how cool is that, though? I
yeah,
mean, thinking about Robbie's career and just being revered as a small guy in the game of football, but being one of the biggest hitters. I
oh
mean,
yeah,
fuck, oh my goodness, the dude's a pure blood. You know what I mean? I mean, he
determination, man.
Determination, man. And the thing is, again, he's just such a calm soul about it.
Yeah.
Every time I see him, he's just like, we got to get better. I know we got to get better. And then
Yeah.
that'll be the end of it. And then he'll actually go to work. He'll put his money where his mouth is. And so the dude's legit, man. He's a
Oh
straight shooter,
man,
dude. I mean,
dude, I love watching him crash
everybody's,
back. Oh
oh my
man.
gosh. I
Oh
mean,
my
because he's sitting there, he's talking to guys that are like 6'9", 310.
gosh.
You just see him just waving his head like this, I
Uh,
mean, it's super funny, dude.
oh my gosh. One of the, high areas that are probably being looked at is linebacker.
Yeah.
We lose Jace Lewis to graduation, number 37. We also lose Chase Johansson. He left the team as well. Additions, Marcus Evans from Helena High School, a couple guys that we had on the podcast, Vincent Genatone from North Platte High School, and then Cooper Walton from Roosevelt High School in Colorado. And then we also had a transfer from Iowa, Wyatt Wagner from Iowa. That was a transfer. So we've got a lot of talent in the linebackers. So I wouldn't expect, those rookies, not rookies, but freshmen, and then the transfers to make a splash, because we've got a lot of guys behind them. Levi Janicaro, Michael Matthews, Tyler Flink, a lot of guys that have seen some time, but like everything else, who steps up? Who steps up and takes that position? Do they, leave Patrick where he's at? Do they move him over to middle linebacker?
No, I think they keep him where he's at. My biggest thing, and I think it's kind of a little bit of a consistent theme when it comes to that linebacker group, is that every single year we have, really solid. I think consistently, I would like to think that linebackers have probably been our most consistent position this whole time.
Yeah.
I mean, for at
Linebacker,
least the last 10, 12, years, we've always had really consistent players, really consistent play. And so, but what ends up happening is that there's one guy that ends up being the standout. And then as soon as it's his year, or his last year, what ends up happening is that somebody sneaks in from behind, You saw that with Josh Buss and Dante Olson. Dante Olson, Jace Lewis, Patrick, And so now it's Patrick's turn to play that role and kind of see who's able to kind of fit in right behind him and kind of, be that playmaker. Because again, it could very, very well may be Patrick, but I'm just following the theme of what I've noticed. It's going to be the same exact thing this year. I'm interested to see, because, when you think about it, you have Braxton Hill making his first start.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Bryson, I missed one. Sorry.
Yeah, obviously super talented player, but what's his role going to be? How? Obviously every role is important, but what kind of role is he going to play?
Yeah.
And so I don't know, that whole group fascinates me because they're just a bunch of crackheads.
And then you got Marcus Wellnell there as well. So
100%.
A lot of good dudes, a lot of good players that
with the killer mentality, man.
Oh,
oh my gosh, and they do. They're the type of guys. The guys that you see kind of making jokes of where they shave into like little faux hawks and mohawks just straight down the middle just to look terrifying. That's them. That's them. That's their idea.
Well, just the athleticism of those guys just amazes me. Just how big they can be and just how fast and aggressive it's just amazing.
Yeah, dude.
So, defensive end, man. This was hard because you lose Justin Belknap to graduation, you lose Joe Babros. Those those were probably the two guys that with Gavin Robertson's where I think they did a lot of little things where they didn't get a lot of the sacks, but they did put pressure where with the style that we play. You're not going to get a defensive end that gets 20 sacks. But you play a system where you allow to get some pressure and you allow the pressure to come up the middle.
Yeah, it's harder to do 3-3-5. You know what I mean? It really is kind of difficult, and so a lot of times, you have to be the sacrifice in that defensive position. Defensive line position, that is a sacrifice because they know they're going to get tied up. they know they're going to make those holes and those gaps in order to get those linebackers to, have a chance, just simply because they're a little bit tinier, they're a little bit quicker, a little bit more agile. It makes
Yep.
sense from a defensive perspective, you
Yep.
know? And so, I mean, thinking about it, I mean, again, I agree with you.
Yep.
I think, Joe played a huge role,
Yeah.
I think Justin played a huge role. And now it's up to Diori Todd and then
Yep.
McGorman. As I'm saying it right, McGorman, right?
Jacob McGorn. Yep.
McGorn, yeah. He's going to play a super big role too,
Yep.
simply because, I mean, I think, as a redshirt sophomore, so he has a little bit of experience, but he's not
Yep.
necessarily a senior. So this is going to be a huge year for him, and I've openly stated this. I mean, that's probably one of the only dudes that I was never able to really kind of fully kind of figure out.
Yeah.
I won a lot of the reps, but he embarrassed me on a couple. Just
Dude,
with
he's
his
a
swiftness.
big guy too.
Yeah, he's a big guy, man. And I
Oh
mean,
my Lord.
so what a gentle giant, you know what I mean? A little
Oh my
softy
gosh.
off the field, just walking around, dude. So, I mean, but again, like I said, he was one of those guys that I couldn't figure it out. And like I said, I think I had pretty decent hands, but so I'm hoping that this year he kind of takes it. So I think my eyes are primarily on him, Jacob, being able to figure out that position and see what he can do with it, because it's not no longer you're situational. Some of the guys are tired, go rotate in. Hey,
Yep.
man, like, we expect everything and above from you right now.
Well, and they do have, Dairy Todd, and I've heard he's made some development with, transferring from Michigan State. So I expect, Jacob McGorn to be starting with Dairy Todd. And then you've got the likes of Garrett Husted, the Nebraska transfer, coming in.
Yeah, that guy's so cool. That guy's so cool. I'm super excited for that dude.
Yeah, and then you've got Kale Edwards, who had an awesome spring as well.
Kale's at a defensive end now?
Yep.
Oh, shoot. I guess I didn't even put two and two together, man.
Yeah.
That's cool, because he was linebacker for the longest time.
Yeah, I think they moved him to defensive end. So I think that, like you said, who fills those two voids, and then who develops behind them, because you're not gonna just get the same two. They're gonna put people out and keep on subbing in. Who makes that leap to be that into that second rotation is going to be interesting to see. So
yeah.
Oh man, cornerback, man. We have some cornerbacks, dude.
yeah, we do.
Oh my Lord, man! Like, seriously, like the person that's probably going to be getting a lot. But hey, before I get into that, I'm getting too excited. Let's go over what we lost. We lost Omar Hicksanu, graduation. Also, we lost Adjat, so he left the team. He's no longer on the roster as well. But the additions, we got a all-conference Jaden Dawson transfer from Idaho State. We got Robert Whitehead from Grossmont JUCO. Andrew Trevelyan was a transfer from San Diego Mesa, but he also played 1 year at Sam Houston State. And then Drew Klump from Sentinel High School. But man, you get the big four in there, man. You get Jaden Dawson, you get Corbin Walker, you get Justin Ford, and I'm forgetting one. Oh Lord. Oh my gosh. Anyways, that's going to be a hell of a cornerback group to play against.
So I'm thinking right now, we got Justin Ford, we got Dawson. I feel like it's contagious, this thing that you
I
just
know,
gave
dude.
me.
Like, holy crap! I'm gonna look it up, because this is like, dude, you started.
Corbin Walker. Then, gosh, what's the other guy's name?
Oh my Lord.
Look it up. We have to figure this out right now,
dude.
We got to do them justice.
Dude, and we're not even drinking on this podcast.
We lost like 15 fans right now. Jesus Christ.
Oh my Lord, dude. Maybe that's the problem. Maybe we should be.
Maybe. That may be the solution to it all.
I think so.
What's a local beer company that wants to sponsor us? You guys
exactly,
let us know.
Dude. Like, that's what we need to get. Like, seriously, Trevin Gradney.
Trevin. Yeah. There you go.
So, I heard all good things with all those guys. Also, one guy that I've been hearing, Dylan Simmons, the redshirt freshman from Louisiana as well, probably won't get any reps this year, but in the future could be a guy to look at. But man, lockdown defenders on the corners. Can't wait to see what Justin does. I'm not expecting him to have the year that he did last year. But man,
And I think that was one of the coolest things too. When I think I read up on it, I think his expectation is the same way. It's just like, I'm not expecting what was it, like a record 9 interceptions. He was like, I'm not expecting 9 interceptions. I'm expecting to get better when it comes to route tracking. I'm expecting to get better on my deep ball. You know what I mean? Deep ball coverage, those sort of things. And so he was like really kind of nitpicking. He was just like, if I get interceptions, great. I'm going to take any chance that I can get, but I'm really kind of focused on just being a better player, a better teammate. And that's what you kind of want out of a guy like that, because it's real easy to let all that stuff get to your head. I've seen it, teams that I've been a part of before, after, where some of that notoriety of being able to say, hey, I made a couple good plays. I'm going to act a little different. I'm going to be a little more cocky, And I think he does a really good job of just bringing it back to the basics of, hey, I'm here to do a job, be the best teammate that I can, be the best player that I can. Everything else is turkey. Everything else is gravy. And so I think that's what I really admire out of him. And I think a lot of those guys, really, really respect that, because it's a hard thing to do.
Yeah. One thing that I respected, I heard him on, is just his work ethic, man. If you see him on any type of social media, he posts, what he's doing or whatnot. He is always either in the gym, watching film, doing something. And he kind of commented that on one of either an interview or something, that, when he was at Louisville, like that's one of the things that when he came from Louisville to Montana, that he was like, hey man, I got to step this up. And he attributes that to, how much he's improved. So, the work ethic, man, is amazing. I can't imagine him not doing well just with the amount of time that he puts in and the focus that he has for his skill, man.
Exactly. So, I mean, either way, cornerback position is going to be fun. I'm really excited to see some of those guys. I'm excited for Corbin, to really kind of break out this year too. Maybe it might be the same situation like a linebacker. All the attention is going to be on Justin Ford, and then just being able to come up from behind, kind of sneak in on some of those things. I mean, again, being able to create turnovers, that's a huge, huge part of the whole system of what they're trying to do.
Yep. Well, and just to say, hey, we've got 2 great cornerbacks, but hey, also if we need something like Jaden Dawson, he's an all-conference big sky cornerback that we have in off the bench. Like, that's crazy.
I just can't wait till they give him a couple opportunities to see what he can really do.
Exactly, man. Defensive line, dude. We didn't lose a whole lot there. Kind of like the tight end Lorenzo Brown, I think, left.
I love those 2 interior guys, though.
Oh my
gosh! I
dude.
literally saw Eli a couple of weeks ago, at dinner or something like that. It might have been just real casual, and it was I think it was right after camp or something like. I don't know. I don't remember. But I mean, he literally was just like, I was just like, getting a big dinner night. He was just like, hell yeah, I'm getting a big dinner. I lost like 15 pounds during camp, and I was like, of course, it makes sense, because that's how intense camp is. I mean, those guys gain so much weight in the off season, literally just to have it drowned off of them. Just literally you wipe it off of you, simply because that's how hard you're going at practice. And so he was just like, yeah, I'm a little bit light. I need to get a big meal in me right now. Like, I need to, pick it up. And again, obviously this guy's sitting at, 290 something pounds, and he's like, yeah, I'm small right now. And you're like, no, you're not. You're not a small guy. You're not a small guy. You're a big guy. He was just like, I could be bigger, I could be better. The same thing with Governor. I actually ran into him too. Just like, I leaned out just a little bit. I'm trying to find that sweet spot of being big enough where I can really kind of knock these guys back, but also swift enough that I can, keep that energy consistently. And I was just like, dude, I mean, you've come such a long way. The dude's a brick. The dude's a tank.
He is a brick house. I saw him like in an interview with like Riley, and I'm like, holy freaking cow, that's a defensive line. Like,
Dude got he looks solid. He's committed himself, and I mean, that is the thing. I mean, we keep going back to the same thing when it comes to these different positions. It's like, you see the commitment there. You see the work ethic. You see the struggle. You see the want, the will, the desire. We can go on. at the end of the day, guys, for the
Just
listeners
do it.
out there, we're just going to do it.
Yep.
Nike. You know what I
Just do
mean?
it.
Plug us in,
Exactly.
Nike.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You're going after the sponsors, man. I like this,
I
man.
mean, you gotta sprinkle it in every now and
There
again,
you
man.
go.
You
There
miss
you go.
100% of the shots you don't take. You know, you learn that real early in life. And so, I mean, again, ultimately, guys, I mean, it really is just, we just got to go out and do the damn thing.
Yep.
There's nothing else to really say about it and those sort of things. So all the positions, I really don't have any type of, I'm super worried here type of
No,
conversation.
we added, Bronson Hendrickson, a guy from Polson, Jared Bramos, a guy from Colorado as well. Both of those guys were on the podcast as well. And then Ben McGorn, Jacob's brother, I believe, is on the defensive line as well. So a good defensive line. I can't wait to see those two guys, because those guys. Would you say that they're kind of positional, right? Alex does things that Eli doesn't, and they're kind of mix and match a little bit, that they both have their kind of things that they do that they kind of mix and match.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's like, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, if you order a piece of steak, you're not gonna say, hey, give me 2 pieces of steak. You know, that'd be great. You're
Yeah.
probably gonna say, give me some mashed potatoes with that steak, you know? Make it
Yep.
garlic mashed potatoes when you're getting down to the depot right here in town. And
Dude, you're
so
making me hungry, man.
that's what Eli and Governor are. You know, you got steak, you got mashed potatoes. They're both good individually, but when you combine them together, you cut a little piece of steak, that black and prime
Bam.
rib. You know,
That's
you get a
right.
little scoop of that garlic with a little bit of Parmesan on the top, and you eat it together. You're in heaven. You know what I mean? And
This
that's
is
where you
not a
meet
cooking
Angel.
podcast.
And that's where you meet Angel. And I'm right there at the top, ready to give you a big old hug.
There
So
you go.
we all go together here. That's what I'm trying to say.
Awesome, dude. What are you drinking?
Me, what am I drinking right now? Literally just water. I hope
Just
it's
water?
water in here. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
All right, man. Let's get into this Griz schedule, dude. Like, seriously. We're going from the breakdown of the roster to the schedule. This is going to be really quick, because then we're going to get into the Northwestern State Demons next, guys. Like I said, Northwestern State, we're playing this week. And I'll watch this, dude. Are you watching this? All right. Are you ready? Boom.
Oh, you figured it out?
Boom.
Oh, Jesus, that's kind of cool. We're getting a little better here.
So yeah, Northwestern State's first this weekend. It is a maroon out, as it says there. Next week, oh man, if I could, I wish I could make that game. South Dakota, from all looking points, it should be a top 25. I believe right now South Dakota is on the number 26. So hopefully this week they get into the top 25. And that's also Hall of Fame week as well. So next week is Indiana State, at Indiana State. Give a shout out to them, with prayers of them with what they're dealing with their the death of the car crash of their student athletes. Yeah. And that's rough. And then you go into, I believe, if I cut that off, I'm so sorry. Yeah, I did. I think it's Cal Poly. Going into that. No, it's not Cal Poly. Man, see what I just did, dude? I went into it.
It's Portland State, I think. There you go.
There you go. Portland State. Yep. Homecoming weekend. Portland State. Going on to the next round, at Idaho State versus Idaho. And you're looking at those first ones, the first 6, you should be pretty heavily favored going into that at Sacramento State game on ESPN2. They bumped it up. It'll be a night game. And then you've got 2 huge games, man, at Sac State, at Weber State, 2 road games back to back. And then you finish at Cal Poly.
I think Cal Poly is going to be a good game too, though. I have to say.
Really? Really?
I mean, with Coach Baldwin, I'm interested to see. I think he has, I think he's a couple years under that role now. So he should have, maybe kind of midpoint way of having a lot of the guys that he kind of recruited into that program, and some of the older guys that, he's been working with, some of them out of that. So it'll be kind of interesting to see. So I think those are 3 tough games right there. Obviously, Idaho, we don't really care about them. I know we're
No.
going to win. We're going to keep that Stein here. Sacramento State, that's a tough one because you're traveling to California. We're playing on their turf. Even though it's nothing like playing in Missoula, Montana, just traveling every single time is always a tough one. And then we travel right over to Ogden, you know. Again, another tough place to play. And then from there, then we'll have a home game with Cal Poly. So I think those are going to be the two games that I'm kind of really anticipating before, obviously, the Eastern Washington game.
See, and I think the Weber State games can be harder than the Sacramento State game because I think we're going to be going into that game 6-0. I think that Sacramento State game, people are going to be pissed off that we lost at home and they've had our number. And this is going to be a put up or shut up game. And Bobby is going to want that game. He's going to, and I think we're going to show up. But I think that coming off that high, coming to Weber State from all circumstances, they had a bad year last year. I expect them to rebound this year. I think that could be a really high game going into that one. And then, like you said, going and finishing out versus Eastern Washington. Eastern Washington has a hell of a schedule. Oh my gosh, dude. If you haven't seen their schedule, go see their schedule and just be like, oh my Lord. And then we finish at Bozo for Montana State. And so, yeah, it's a hard schedule, man. Like, I'm not going to say it's not, but pretty hard schedule. The back end of that schedule is pretty hard.
The second half of the schedule is the tough one.
Yeah. The first 6 are pretty, we can do it. But, man, you go Sac State, Weber State, Cal Poly, Eastern Washington, MSU, that's hard. And if you look at the preseason rankings, I think we're playing 4 of the top 5 teams in the conference with Sac State, Weber State, Eastern Washington, MSU. I don't think any other team is doing that. So, predictions. I gave my prediction. I went through, and this is kind of nerdy of me. I went through all the teams' schedules, and I wrote down their conference rankings, their records. So I have what I'm going to be predicting at the end of the year. Are you ready for this?
Hell no. You think I'm ready for that? You never told me you're doing this.
I'm just throwing out. I know you don't like to predict, man. I know you don't like to predict.
I like to predict, but I didn't know you were going to put that much effort. Here's what we're going to do. Just so I'm prepared.
Okay.
We're going to put a pause on this. We're going to record next week, and next week we'll do the second game throughout the rest of the year. We'll just do the prediction for tonight because that's unfair. You never told me that you were putting that much effort. All you said was, I might do predictions. I might do predictions. You never said, hey, I'm going to do a full-on, scientific report, peer edited and reviewed type of document.
You know me that I'm kind of nerdy like that. I'm going to get.
I guess you're right. I do. I guess maybe I didn't know you. Maybe I thought I knew you until just now.
Exactly. All right, we'll save that so you can look at it. Yes, we'll save that for next week.
Next week, I'll have you ready.
Stay tuned.
Now I know that you're trying to cheat.
So, are we going to sell? Because I think last year we bet. I think it was like a 6-pack, wasn't it? And we probably came out both even, and none of us.
I think we did come out even. I don't know who won.
I don't think any of us won because we were horrible at it.
Well, since you're such a nerd, you got to go back and figure this out. Then
I'm pretty sure
because if it's closer to like, hey, you had 1 point closer to the point count, or just predictions in general, you won a 6-pack.
Yeah, it's all right. I'm good.
He said that. I'm going to pass on this one, big dog.
No, well, we should do that this year. Maybe we can throw like something in for people that are listening to the pod. Let us know what you think. Give us your predictions. Hit us up on Twitter as well. So we want to know if we're way off base, which we're usually
we're pretty off base. It's all good.
So let's dive into these Northwestern State Demons, man. So if you don't know,
They suck. That's my prediction. That's my thing.
Yes, they come from the Southland Conference. If they don't know where Northwestern State is, that's in Louisiana. The 2021-2022 season, they finished 5th in the Southland at 3-8. Preseason this year, they are slated at number 5 again. They've had some turnover, man. If you haven't heard, they have like basically 6 new coaches of their 8 coaches.
I mean, that's why I say that they suck, because it's hard to get a program when you can't keep the coaches.
Exactly. They have 30 new players. And so they lost both their coordinators, defense and offensive coordinators. And I believe their offensive coordinator was like in the last couple weeks.
That's tough, dude. That's what I'm talking about.
Exactly.
Like people are gonna be like, "You're so mean, you're so harsh." I don't care. It's the truth.
We're throwing things out there, man. We're throwing the truth bombs out, man.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, the same way. If we had freaking, 6 head coaches in 6 years, or even more than that, 6 head coaches just in 2-3 years or something like that, and replacing coordinators, defense, it'd be hard to be a program anywhere you go. And I don't care if you're Alabama. I don't care if you're anywhere. You know what I mean? And so that's super, super tough. I know we were super competitive back in 2000s when, I think it was the Glenn era or something like that. And then right before Bobby's stint too, I think Bobby had played him once or twice, So, I mean, we would see him in the postseason. They'd be good matches. They'd be good games, those sort of things. And I think even Glenn, when he was coaching and he won the 2001 national championship, he opened up the playoffs with the win against them when they were down like 14-0 to begin with. I read in an article, I think 406 Montana Sports or something like that. And so, again, it sounded like they were competitive in the past, but they've took a turn these past couple of years.
Exactly. And I think the Coach Laird, is the all-time leading passer there. And so I think he's trying to bring it back up. But, going from leading passer to their quarterback, their quarterback is a transfer from Kansas, Miles Fallon. He has not thrown a pass.
Like ever?
Like when he's been in college, he has never thrown a college pass in a game.
What?
Now, like literally, I looked at his stats and I looked at a couple different spots. There was no recorded pass attempt when he was at Kansas.
So just handoffs or just yards or just taking off the ball? Or what?
He was like backup quarterback where he wasn't. So,
okay, that's a different story. I thought he was like a starter and there was 0 pass attempts.
No, he's named the starter for this upcoming week. Which kind of tells you well,
then we don't know if he's good, he's bad. I guess we'll see this weekend, huh?
Exactly. Well, the coach said that he gave them enough presence of not turning the ball over. I guess last year with their 2 quarterbacks, they were kind of turnover prone. They both had 6 interceptions and 4 interceptions. What's kind of tricky with this team is that they don't lack in players in the running back and wide receiver. They have a running back coming back, Scooter Adams. That was a all-conference player, all-conference player his freshman year. He is named second all-conference this year, but he missed all of last year with an injury. And then wide receivers, Javon Antonio. He was an all-conference player as well. He sat out, I guess, either with an injury or sat out last year as well. And then they have Jaron Mitchell. He was previously at University of Northern Colorado. So they have some skill set on the skill players, but their best position and their best groups are on the defensive side.
100%. 100%. Yeah.
So they've got 2 defensive backs, Shamar Bartholomew and PJ Harrington. That's
a cool name, Bartholomew. Have you seen Spaceballs?
Yeah, of course I've seen Spaceballs.
That's what it reminds me of.
Oh my Lord, that is an awesome movie. So yeah, first team all conference, both of those guys. They've got a linebacker, Jordan Banks, a Arizona State transfer, and then their dudes in the middle, man, Isaiah Longino and Jamar Dvalson are seniors that are second team all conference in their conference as well. So, I'm not expecting a close game by any means. But man, it's hard not to say that they're going to get blown out because of just the coaches, of what's happening in their program. It doesn't look like they have been competitive. I did go back in their season last year, and their games that they played were competitive. They weren't like blown out by a lot of the games. So they were competitive in their conference. They just didn't finish.
Well, I think exactly. I mean, it goes to speak to testament. They have some players.
Yep.
They have some guys that can play, that can be competitive. They have a squad that wants to be competitive. But again, it's hard to do that when there's such turnover.
Yeah.
Because you rely on those guys so heavily simply because, I mean, they're literally, I mean, obviously the players run the team, but there is such a huge role that these coaches play for these kids.
Yeah.
And they need that direction. I mean, you're talking about 18 to 22-year-olds that, are away from mommy and daddy, living on their own, really trying to figure out what life is. You talk to anybody that says, "What were you like when you were 18?" A lot of people are going to be like, "Well, I was a scumbag." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. It's just like giving that direction. They need that direction. It's part of the game. There's expectations that you can throw out to your players, to some of the older guys that say, "I expect this from you," but they're going to need that direction. It's really hard to be a good football team. So again, I'm kind of the same boat as you. I'm not going to say that they're not going to be competitive, that they're not going to go out there and really trying to do it, because obviously they're coming over here. They understand that it is a different world out here. It is a different game out here. But as far as their performance, I'm going to be honest, I think it's going to be a rollover. I think they're going to start getting frustrated. They're going to start pointing fingers, and before you know it, by the end of the whole thing, who knows where we're going to be.
Well, it was interesting. Sorry, go ahead.
No, and I was just going to give my prediction, but go ahead.
Okay, yeah, just a minute, because it was interesting to see the Coach Laird, their head coach, that he really went in with Riley about how, they did a lot of bonding and a lot of, team things in the earlier rounds. And I think they have a lot of transfers coming in to kind of build that, that base. Just a question for you, Angel, because, you've been there,
What is bonding, though? What kind of did he say? What kind of bonding?
No.
Huh. Okay. Sorry.
I think it was like something like, and I could be way off base, just like out camping or I don't know. But he said something of bonding. I'm not quite sure, but can you really manufacture that? Because like to me, you can manufacture that for a little bit, but it's manufactured. It's not real, right? So it's going to break a whole lot easier than, something tried and built over time. Something manufactured like that can just break a whole lot easier than if it was built upon.
No, so I kind of have a little bit of a different philosophy. If I put 10 guys in a room, I say get along, it's going to be really hard for them to get along.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's kind of the same kind of fabrication that you're saying right there. If you said, "Hey, we're going to go camping together," because you have to, it's going to be, that doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to be able to bond. I think as far as men go, when it comes to our bonding experiences, make them do hard shit.
Yeah.
Put them through a grueling workout where they're going to rely on the person next to you, when they're going to have that type of accountability. I think that's how you really start to bond. And then from there, it's not a forced fabrication of, "Hey guys, we're all going to go camping as a team." It's going to be more of a kind of a collection to say, "Hey, you know what? We bled together this weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We cried together this weekend. We banged our bodies up together this weekend." It doesn't have to be with the game, but it could be with practice. It could be with, PRPs, play run practices. It could be through our lifting sessions, our conditioning sessions, that we struggle through those really hard things are going to make me want to call you up on a weekend and say, "Hey, bud, let's go hang out."
Yeah.
I think that is where the bonding comes into place. I don't think it comes with, team movie days and stuff like that, because again, it was a selfish thing for me. I mean, I remember when I played under Stitt, and he, every once in a while, it was, "Hey, we're going to have a team bonding day and go watch a movie." Unfortunately, I thought selfishly in that situation. I said, "Great, I get a day to rest."
Mm-hmm.
I never thought, "Hey, sweet, I'm going to go with my buddies." That was a little bit far of the point than what I was actually feeling. And then it wasn't until, through those hard situations when I really started to develop a relationship with a lot of those guys, which in turn made me want to hang out with them in my off time.
Yeah.
Because that's what you want. You want to
Oh,
be
yeah.
able to say, hey, guys, and that's one thing that all my coaches always said, hey, take care of each other this weekend. Be accountable for the next person next to you and vice versa. Be accountable for them. Hold it up to a higher expectation. Make sure we don't make dumb decisions this weekend. Make sure, we make the right thing, the right choices.
Yep.
And so because of that, it was the same thing. It was just like, I have a relationship with this guy. I have an expectation of what he expects out of me. I know he's relying on me. I'm going to rely on him too, to make sure that we take care of each other and we get home safe.
Yeah.
So those sort of things. I think that's how you really kind of start fabricating a team and really start building guys really a lot closer. And those guys, unfortunately, there are certain guys that do not mesh with every single program. There are some guys that are great for certain programs, some guys that are terrible for other programs. And so I think through those instances, you're really going to start to see some selfish behavior and the players that are meant to be there. I think that's how you fabricate a team, not by forcing them in a tent and saying, hey, let's go camp together.
Amen, brother. Amen.
It's all up for perspective. It's an opinion, so that's all it really is. But that's how I think it's worked out well for me, at least.
Well, I just look at it as like, okay, so you've had basically to replace 6 people, and I don't know the backstory of it, but that's a lot. Like, that's not just one coach leaving for a better job. That's a lot of coaches leaving. So why are they leaving? Like, there's got to be something wrong inside the program. Why they're leaving? Why you have to bring in 30 players from, that you had to bring in? That's a high number, I would think. But that's just me. But anyways, let's give me your prediction, buddy. Give me your prediction.
I'm kind of leaning 2 ways, man. I think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a. So what am I thinking?
Do you think they're going to score a touchdown?
56 to. I want to say 14, but I might be wrong. I don't know if they'll be able to score 2. Freak it out. I'm going to be on the optimistic side when it comes to that. I think 56 to 14.
Okay. Do you know what's rude? Is mine's 56 to 7.
Are you kidding me right here? We always do this, man.
Oh my gosh, dude. Like, yeah. I had 56 to 3, and I'm like, no, I think they might get like a touchdown at the end when we're,
Yeah, okay, I'll change it. I'll do 49.
49? Okay, you're changing
49. Mm-hmm.
Watch, you're going to win now.
49 to 14.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we'll be in that realm. Do I think they might score 2 touchdowns? I don't really think so. I think they'll get 1 for sure. I think they might get lucky with a couple of maybe field goals, maybe. But I really think they're going to have a hard time passing the 50, especially with our defense. I mean, because that was kind of the name of the game last year. It was for a long time we kept opponents out of our 50.
Oh yeah. Well, and we played. Not to say that Northwestern State's bad, but I would say Western Illinois is probably better than Northwestern State.
Mm-hmm.
Just because they're from the Missouri Valley. They play a little bit tougher competition. So, but that's just me.
So that's my prediction, bud.
Cool, man.
I think it's gonna be ass whooping. It's gonna be hot too. So the guys are out there again. Hydrate
the right way.
Of course.
Not. No, man. Yeah.
You're not a Coors guy?
If it's the last thing, then I'll drink it.
So what are you drinking? How bougie are you getting?
How boozy am I getting?
It sounds
like what bougie, is my go-to? What is my go-to?
What's your go-to?
Oh, I like the Leinenkugels. I like those ones. If I gotta go cheap beer, I just do, Bud Light. So
are you kidding me right now?
If I'm gonna go cheap, I either go Bud Light or I go Blue Moon.
Blue Moon's a good beer. I like Blue Moon. But I go Coors for sure. Simply because that's what I survived off in college. You can never tell me anything different. And then what else do I like? But my favorite beer is Modelo. I love Modelo.
Really? I've never tried one.
I'm Mexican, dog. What do you expect? What do you expect from me, Adam? Of
I like
course, I like
Corona. I like
Modelo.
Corona. Is that
That's a good
bad to
one
say?
too.
Like I with a little lime. Oh my gosh, dude.
Mm-hmm.
But yes. And
Put a
then
little lime. So you take a little swig out of the Corona, put a little bit of squirt in there, put a couple dashes of the squirt, put some
what?
lime in there, and then if you want to
Really?
get really fancy, get some lime vodka, throw a little bit in there too, flip it upside down so it mixes up, and that's a party. Let me tell you.
Dude, I am doing it all wrong. Holy cow.
Yeah, you gotta get with the times, man. Come on
Oh
now.
my goodness. For all those people that want to be our benefactor of our podcast, here we go.
Exactly. And you're over here drinking Lockenheimers or whatever you call them.
Lime Kugels or whatever they're called. I
Oh,
don't know.
line kugels,
Yeah,
whatever,
there you go.
dude.
Dude. Yeah, I can't say anything.
Shoot, man. Shoot, man. Shoot.
All
Well,
right,
it's
man.
game week, brother.
Oh man, it is. It's
Yeah.
finally here. We will have a pod next week, and we'll break down what we saw and go into the next week, and then we'll do the predictions of what we think for the end of the year, and we'll go from there, man.
Sounds good, guys. I appreciate you guys listening, man. Make sure to follow us, leave a review, let us know what you're thinking. You know, if you guys want to hop on the podcast too, we're always open to have people too, just to talk about it. You know,
Yep.
again, we're couch potatoes. We just like talking. We hope you guys enjoy listening. Let us know how we can be better for you guys, okay? Bang,
All right.
go Griz, baby.
Fight on.
There you go. You got it right. First week.